Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 15 of the Cinematic Boys Reviews. Of course, it's me and Bilal here today. Sammy, unfortunately, couldn't be here today. He's been busy with school and finals because I think his school weekends this week. But of course, he will be back next week for our next week's review. But of course, today, guys, we are reviewing the first movie in the Planet of the Apes trilogy so far before Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes comes out next Friday with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So before we get into the back, like all the information that I would normally tell you guys every week, Bilal, have you guys? Is this a rewatch for you?
Uh, yeah. Well, double rewatch, I guess.
Oh, did you watch it again today? I know you watched it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So this is a rewatch for me also. I don't know if it's my first or second rewatch. But of course, let me pull up this information so I can tell you guys all about it. Because this is a little bit interesting about this movie than the other two. So, if you guys think this trilogy is directed by Matt Reeves, it's not. This first one is directed by Rupert Wyatt, which there are some things I will say during this review that his movies is different from the Matt Reeves. But of course, this came out in 2011. Of course, directed by Rupert Wyatt. This stars Andy Serkis as Caesar, James Franco, John Lithgow, Brian Cox, and what is his name? And Tom Felton. So, of course, just let's get right into it, Bilal. What are your thoughts on this movie?
First of all, my thoughts on this movie is I love this movie. First of all, it's a really great character study on the character of Caesar. You see this character grow through the whole runtime of this movie and become the person he is today. And that really works with human connections with the character of Will, played by James Franco. I'm not a fan of James Franco whatsoever, but James Franco was great in this movie. The way this movie develops the conflicts between the humans and apes is something really interesting. And the way they do these experiments on these apes is haunting, but at the same time, it's kind of say that you understand the perspective, right? Like Will's character is trying to help his dad get cured by his Alzheimer's. How can I say it?
Alzheimer's.
Yeah, Alzheimer's disease, and you understand why he's doing this. But there's great perspective of what is a meaning of being a, what's a meaning of being human, and I think that's played out really well in the first movie.
So for me, when I was little for this one, I didn't like this as much. And when going into this, I kind of thought that way. But after watching it, I like it a lot more. And there's certain things that I don't like, and I will get to that later on. But I like the story in this because we see, of course, Caesar and the apes like rise. Because of course, this during the beginning of this movie, it's just all like how we are right now, like natural life. Humans are over everything. Apes are just considered animals in this. But we see the rise of these apes, and Caesar take control and is leading this pack. And it kind of not only is like an action type, but I feel like more it's a coming of age a little bit
Yeah. That's what I thought about it too.
because we see Caesar's like because it's a coming of age story for Caesar.
Yeah, but also the movie
From
does a great job showcasing Caesar's intelligence. Slowly and surely, he gets smarter and smarter when the movie's progressing to the first and third act. I think that was great too.
yeah, I thought that it was too because I don't know who wrote this, but whoever wrote it actually did really good because it was consistent
Yeah,
all the way through. There was no like I think there was no plot gaps, no bumps in the road. It was all smooth sailing. and the acting was actually good in this.
Yeah.
Tom Felton, he's a dickhead in Harry Potter. He's a dickhead in this.
Yeah.
Brian Cox, I didn't even know Brian Cox was in this. I forgot he was.
Yeah, me
Brian
too.
Cox is good. And if you guys know, Brian Cox is in Succession. So I've heard good things about him in Succession, and he's a good actor, so he's good in this. James Franco, like you said, is not that great of a person, but of course, he's my childhood, not only with this movie, but of course, the OG
Random
Spider-Man
trilogy.
trilogy.
Yeah.
But his character was good in this. John Lithgow as the father, I liked him in this also. And John Lithgow has been around a lot of years in his acting career. But overall, I think that's my spoiler-free thoughts. Is that it for you, Bilal?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's get into our spoiler territory. So if you guys haven't watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes yet, I don't know what you're doing. Go watch this movie because you're gonna have a good time watching this. But let's get right into it, Bilal. Let's just give our spoiler thoughts with a little detail. Then I got a little something extra that I want to add into this that is new to this episode that I want to add to. But I'll let you go first with your
I mean,
thoughts.
I think the first thing I love in this movie is definitely the sign languages that the apes use to communicate with each other, so we understand what their perspectives are. But I'll also love to see when Caesar gets hurt and it's Caesar's in the hospital and Will's character. Well, he's like kind of doing these hand signals with the doctor, indicating that he wants Will to go out with the doctor, which was like a wholesome little moment that Caesar wants to see Will be in love, which was like a really great little touch to the character of Caesar. I also really admire the scenes of Caesar using his smarts to get out of that jail situation and seeing him like go grab that formula and steal it by Will to do that, showcasing his smarts by his stealth as well. And just because little things in that movie showcase why he's such a great leader later on in the films. But I also really cared about that scene when Caesar first sees, the facility. You, he thinks it's like a playground for him, right? And then he sort of feels betrayed from Will because it's not a playground. It's like a jail for these apes, basically. So there's this two-way connection of Caesar feeling betrayed, but Will feeling bad for Caesar and felt like he's let down Caesar. So Will, through like out the second, third act, was trying to help Caesar, and once they finally reunite in the end, it was such a great moment where Caesar finds his type of apes to be around. And saying Caesar's home was such a beautiful way to end this movie and just capture the story and just add it into the second movie and so forth and so forth. But I really love the aspect of Koba in this. He's barely in this movie, but Koba, um, he didn't experience the good side of humanity. He only experienced the bad side of humanity. So see the scene in the bridge when he just pushes James helicopter and kills him, sets him up to be this menace in the second movie really well.
But like for me, I like how we see Caesar. Like at the beginning of the movie, we see his mom get captive from all his family.
Yeah.
Then of course she goes rampant, and they wonder why she went rampant or like on a rampage.
Yeah.
And we find out later that she has Caesar in there, that she was pregnant when she came in. Of course, she got the medicine put in her. Caesar was born, and of course, we find out that Caesar has the genetic influence in him right there.
Yeah.
He was born with it. This is the first ape that is born with this. It wasn't given to him; he was born with it. And like you said, I like because of course at the beginning they do that like the little block test
Yeah.
because of course 15 is the perfect human score and his mom did 20, but Caesar is so well with Ari in his body, he just gains it just like that.
Yeah.
And of course, later on, some stuff happens, and Caesar gets thrown into the zoo
Sue
area thing.
or jail, basically jail Sue, because they were like torturing Caesar too, like put a water spray on it with a hose. Like Tom felt this character was treating him poorly.
True. And overall, I really like you said, when he went into this thing when he first got there, he thought it was a play center. Kind of
Yeah.
like how when they went to the forest for I think it was their first. It was probably the first date, or no, later on when Caesar was. I think after 5 years when Caesar, it was that 5 year time jump.
Oh yeah, the fire jump. Yeah,
When they went into the forest, I think Caesar thought it was like that. But of course, this is the start of you see Caesar turning against the humans,
yeah,
and especially Will, because he leaves Will by himself, and Will promises that he will come back and get Caesar and bring him back to his home.
yeah. But that's mainly because Caesar thought it was a playground, and Will didn't know it was a playground either. So Caesar didn't know that Will didn't know that. But at the same time, Caesar did feel portrayed by Will. In my eyes, what do you think?
Yes, and the thing I love the most in this little room, he remembers the mirror
Yeah.
and he puts the shape of the mirror.
Yeah. Oh, I also like the scene where he gets the big gorilla out.
Oh yes,
Yeah, that
he
was
is very smart. Caesar is very smart. He is, like I said, the one of the smartest apes at the time. He's so smart. He got the knife from Tom Felton's friend, one of his friends.
okay. Yo, before he kills Tom Fellows' character, he says his first words too, being no when he was
That's
a
one
kid.
more leave later
That
on.
that
Get
was
into that myself later on.
yeah,
And I like so after that, of course, he makes his plan, and he knows how to get out of it. He's so smart. He knows how to get out of the whole facility
yeah,
because when he comes to the top of the tree, he sees like the little loop, like the little gate. He gets out there. Of course, goes back to Will's home. It's kind of creepy because this is after Will comes back and he pays Brian Cox to get Caesar out,
yeah,
and Caesar don't want to go back. And he
yeah,
goes to the house and he just looking at both of them laying in bed. But he, of course, he knows he's got 3 of those vials
yeah,
of that serum in there, and he lets it go. Of course, that helps not only him, I think, get better to the point of where he talks,
yeah.
but it gives all these other apes and no, yeah, apes and chimpanzee, the big orangutan. That's what it is.
Orangutan, yeah,
Um, Not only that, but I don't know if he gave it to the gorilla. That's the only thing I don't get.
yeah. Me too. But another thing, this is kind of off topic. The first time seeing Caesar and Maurice interacting with each other and seeing their like friendship grow from rise to dawn to war is so beautiful.
True, especially what I remember of that.
Yeah,
But like, especially okay, back to especially with the Maurice thing, because of course him as a orangutan can already sign,
yeah,
and when Caesar starts signing, he's like, you know how to sign?
yeah, yeah.
Caesar
That's
asks him, and he's like, you know how to sign? He's like, yeah,
yeah,
because of course I don't know if orangutans could or like a little bit better than like smarter than chimpanzees,
yeah.
but of course Caesar was learning that through Will and through the serum.
Hmm.
But overall, I like the ending. This is a great ending. It leads up right to Dawn. Where we're
Caesar
gonna
is
get into
home.
Dawn. I like that because of course Will don't know that he talks at all, and when he says Caesar is home, you can still see Will's reaction.
Yeah,
And not only that, what you said like Koba pushing that guy off the bridge.
yeah. James, I
We
think.
see, Is his name James?
I think it's
Because you see what James, I think whatever he does to him in all those experiments with the new serum,
yeah,
because I think he tortured him a little bit more than we think in this movie.
yeah,
Because that was too much pushing off for revenge. So I've liked that because like you said, it leads right into Dawn and what we're gonna get in Koba's story in that movie with Caesar.
yeah.
But overall, Bilal, what is your favorite part of this movie? Like favorite moment?
Oh, my bad. His name was Jacobs, not James. My bad, but Steve
Oh
Jacobs.
yeah, speaking of the Jacobs, I like also when Koba spelled out Jacobs
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
board. But overall, Bilal, what is your favorite moment of this movie?
My favorite moment is definitely going to have to be that ending. Caesar finally becoming this leader and finally finding the right group, a species to be around. And he was like, so, like, before, like, he was in that facility, he's like, oh my god, there's other apes like me. It's like, he was like happy with them, but like, some of the apes did bully him a little bit, but in the end, going that full circle and finding his apes and become that leader was so badass. Especially on how much he helped them. And that final act in the Golden Gate Bridge was intense throughout the whole sequence. So I thought that was such a great touch.
Okay, my favorite scene is what you like pointing out a second ago is with when Caesar looks at Tom Felton's character and he screams no to him.
Yeah,
These are the first words we hear of Caesar. And of course, Caesar is played by Andy Serkis, and you can hear Andy Serkis right there.
yeah,
And it's disappointing that Andy Serkis never got, I think, any nominations or
yeah,
anything
crazy.
as Caesar for this trilogy. And it really disappoints me because of course, the Academy don't like animation for best actor and anything, including motion capture.
Yeah,
They don't like motion capture really at all. But I like that scene. Another scene I like is like you said, the ending, because this kind of like shows that Caesar is the leader now of this group, and like Will is letting him go because he knows Caesar is this leader now, and he wants Caesar to be by
yeah.
himself.
Yeah, and I like that Will cares about Caesar no matter what. Oh, I also love the way that Will just quits the company too after those experiments were going too far.
Yeah. So I thought this. You see Koba about attack Will, right?
Yeah,
And it's because he recognized Will from all the experiments. So
yeah,
he was going to kill anybody that was right there. And of course, Caesar is technically like a son to Will,
yeah,
like his family member. So he is going to protect Will like any of these other apes. Because the other humans, he didn't care about the other humans except Will and his girlfriend.
yeah.
For overall blow, our next thing is what's your favorite piece of dialogue from this movie?
My favorite piece of dialogue, great question, by the way. I think my favorite piece of dialogue is definitely like the nose scene with Tom Felton. I thought that was so great to have because having Caesar's first words be no so angrily makes me feel so bad for the character. His first words be no because he's been getting tortured in this facility and he feels betrayed by Will. So having his first words be no, and the way the line delivered by Andy Circus was like emotional because you feel the emotions of that moment. But at the same time, it was such a badass moment and turning point for the character of Caesar of becoming this stronger ape. And I thought that scene was beautiful.
So my favorite piece of dialogue, there's two scenes. One is the no one, and like you said, the library one, you know, said it's a good thing that we got the first piece of like Caesar's words in anger. It's his emotion that he put into it. And the second piece of dialogue is when he tells Will that Caesar is home,
Yeah.
because it's the clear like the clearance or like the it's the clarity of like Caesar knows where he's at and he's found a group of people that
Mm,
he can live with the rest of his life and not have to go back home with Will
yeah.
and live Will and let Will live his life out and not have to worry about him all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I have another question. What do you think is the most impressive scene in Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Oh, impressive scene. Impressive. Oh, that is a good question. You got me on my toes. Oh, I can tell you right now. It's the bridge scene.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Especially because all the humans are thinking that the apes is going to just go towards them. Well, Caesar has a plan of some up top and some on the bottom, and him and then some right in the middle. It's like an ambush attack.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
they plan. I think they've been playing this out all whole time.
Yeah,
Everyone thinks it's sporadic. I think Caesar had a plan because, of course, when you see Brian Cox's character go in his office and he's looking towards the window, and you see all the apes looking at Caesar. So I'm thinking they had this planned out the whole entire time. It was not sporadic. They knew what they were doing.
yeah, I agree with that. But I think my most impressive scene is when they first escape the facility, where like all the apes are working together. You see how they're communicating to get out of the facility, and also went to the roof glass and break it out. Under that scene with cinematography and the lightning and the score really worked for me. It really did.
So another thing I was going to add on to this is the cookie scene when Caesar hands out the cookies to
Oh
everybody,
yeah, yeah,
and he tells and Maurice asks him like, "Why cookies?" And he's like, "Ape not together, weak. Ape together, strong."
yeah,
So it's building that connection that he wants as a leader for his whole entire group to get out of this thing,
yeah.
because he knows where to go. He knows to go in the redwoods because nobody's gonna mess with him out there,
All right, yeah, yeah. I like
and
that.
that's his whole goal. And my final thing I really want to talk about for this review is the score. So
Oh,
I just looked up who done the score. I thought it was Michael Gelatino who done the Batman score, but it's not. It's actually Patrick Doyle.
Patrick Doyle, yeah.
Yeah, and I've never heard of him before. I gotta look and see what else he has done. Let me see that real quick because like Apple Music popped up right now. So he done Death on the Nile, Artemis Fowl, Murder on the Orient Express. Not really big. Oh, he actually done some of the Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire score.
Ooh,
Oh, he done the whole score. Okay, so this man knows what he's doing, and I thought it was really Michael Giacchino because it would. I think he does the rest of the trilogy with Matt Reeves
mhm.
because of him and that Matt Reeves connection. But he does. Patrick Doyle just does his great job, and they knew how to put the score with the movie.
Yeah. So my next question is, what does this movie mean to you personally? Because there's like a lot of deep meanings in this movie that you could relate to.
What are yours? Let me think of mine real quick.
I think mine is like I think beginning of high school, I was like struggling to find my right type of friend group. So I felt the pain of Caesar a bit, but in the end, it is like in the end of high school, finding the right group of people to hang out with that I'm still friends with, and seeing the scene with Caesar be with all the apes in the end, really represented like my experience that I had personally, and I thought that scene like that part of the movie meant a lot to me.
For me, it's probably the leadership.
The leadership?
Not only like through high school, but now in life.
Yeah, yeah,
Because right now in personal life, you gotta be a leader for especially for us, especially like for us younger people watching us. We gotta be leaders for them And not only that, at my job, I want to be a leader because, of course, I want to lead a team one day.
Exactly. Yeah,
And you
yeah.
gotta have that. You gotta have that leadership experience because I think it not only helps you in jobs and personal life, especially like once you become a parent, you need that leadership because your kids are looking up to you, and you need that. It's kind of like when you raise your kids. You gotta be like the stern, kind of like how Caesar is. You gotta be stern, but you gotta be loving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with
It's
that.
like that.
Like you gotta be like serious, but you gotta be like kind to others around you. That's the best way to be successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's like
because
what the character Caesar is. He's like a kind person. I mean, kind ape, not person, but kind ape to people around him. But if someone messes with him, he will be serious and do something about it, right? That's what I like about the character of Caesar so much. My next question is the score is fantastic. So, what scene do you think the score was used best at?
okay, it's the same scene you were talking about. It's when they're escaping.
Escape, yeah.
And not only that, it's not a scene, but the end credits.
All right, and credits. Yeah, that's a
I
good
like
one.
the end credits. And let's get right into it real quick. If you got, and you can, and if you got any more questions, you can ask me. But I want to talk about this real quick. It's that mid credit scene that
Yeah,
we got with the guy, the neighbor. Of course, he's like a was it airport attendant or a pilot.
yeah,
Of course, Frank. I think his name's Frank. Sneezed in his face, right? Of course, Frank had the sickness. Oh no, Franklin. Franklin had the sickness, so he spread it to the pilot. So this is the moment. Of course, he's a pilot, so this will be a whole people traveling around the world. This is the moment when we find out how the disease gets spread around the world and causes chaos by the time Bomb the Planet of the Apes starts.
yeah, exactly. And then that disease, like or flu, I think they called it simian flu, if I'm not
Yeah, it's the
mistaken.
simian flu.
Simian flu. They expand that flu thing really well in Dawn, but especially in War. Oh my gosh, they really show the horrificness of that, and I think Rice really captured that.
Bilal, you got any more questions for me? Because
Um.
you asked me some good questions right now.
All right. So my next question is, what are your thoughts on Tom Fella's performance every time he showed up during this movie? Did he do a good job portraying this really bad guy in the facility? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, and I'm only thinking that is because he's played Draco Malfoy. If he never played Draco Malfoy, I think he would never have the chops to pull off this role.
Yeah,
Because of course you got if you like you guys see Drake in Harry Potter, Draco Malfoy's a dick. He's like the biggest dick, especially to Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
yeah,
So I think not Ron, but I think Tom Felton plays that part perfect in this,
yeah.
and it really shows because not only he is a dick to Caesar, but he also is also a dick to Will.
All the apes, he's a dick too.
But
Um,
especially the Caesar though, he knows there's something about special about
oh yeah, he
Caesar.
definitely knows that Caesar's super smart and capable of what he could, the ape could do. But I also think the facial expressions that Tom brings adds more of the scary things he does to Caesar even further, especially with like the anchor line delivery that he brings to Caesar and like the scenes like use a water hose on Caesar just
Oh yeah.
capture why he's such a bad person.
Do you got any more questions, Bilal?
Uh I think that's it for now, man. If I do, I'll let you know.
Okay. Um, is that mostly it for your spoiler part for Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's it for me also. So let's get into our other stuff that we always talk about. Let's get into those predictions of the Rotten Tomato score.
Alright. I know Dawn and War were huge, like in the '90s somewhere, but I'm guessing the first one's probably around. I'm gonna wait '88. Um,
Okay.
critically and audience 90.
So critic was 82,
Ooh,
audience was 77.
whoa! I didn't know
Eh,
that.
So this is why I'm going to pull in. Also, I just remembered I was going to talk about this. What brings it down so much, and what brings it down for me, is the humans. There's too much humans in this movie. I think they mess up with this movie, and they fix in the other two, is there more scenes with the apes. There's more storytelling with the apes than there are the humans.
I disagree with that mainly because it's the rise of the apes, and this is more so showcasing how terrible the humans treat these apes. So it makes sense to have more human characters in the first movie. So that's why in Dawn and War there's less human characters because these apes are more developed, and you just see Caesar's leadership grow out even further. So I didn't really mind them having more human characters, especially with how poorly they were treated apes. It really captured that perfectly in my eyes.
Because I think that's what hindered this one. Because I think I'm gonna watch the originals and the remake by Tim Burton before, because I'm gonna rewatch these also right before the Kingdom comes out next Friday. But I think what really hurt, like I said, all the others had more apes in it.
Yeah, yeah, but like it makes sense to have more apes than the other ones because this is the first time Caesar's seeing these apes, and he's not established as a leader until the end of the movie.
So let's go into it, Law. Of course, it's a big movie. It's the seventh movie I think right now at this time coming out for the Planets of the Apes franchise. It's been I think about eight, a couple years since Tim Burton's. What do you think the box office? How much it made?
70 mil.
Is that how much you think they made?
Yeah, what? It's a really low.
This movie made $481.8 million.
Holy shit! Oh dang. Oh, worldwide.
Yeah.
Oh, worldwide. I thought you were talking about the states only. My bad.
Oh, I could look up the states too, but states is probably over 100. I think states is over. States was $176 million.
Okay, yeah, that's a bad guess. Damn, wow.
Like I said before, this franchise was already established before this movie came out, so everyone knew about the Apes movies. So, Bilal, let's get right into it. What is your rating for this movie?
My rating for this movie is at 8 out of 10. I thought there were some pacing issues with it, and I think those pacing issues got it way better with the Matt Reeves movies with Dawn of War. But this was a really great entry. 8 out of 10 for me for now, and yeah.
So for me, it's 4.5 out of 5. And the only thing that brings it down for me is the human aspect in this. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. But of course, let's get right into our last thing, which I don't know if we got any or not. Let's go and check these Oscar awards if we got any nominations or wins that year. So let's pull that up real quick. Oscars. Yes, it did get one. Best visual effects.
Oh yeah,
They only got nominated.
did it win?
No, it got nominated.
Dang,
Who
what
won?
won?
Let's see. I can go back probably. Let me see. I could look this up real quick. Visual effects, right? Yeah. That'll be in the 2012 Oscars. Life of Pi. No wait, hold up. No, Hugo.
Hugo.
Yeah, so it was Hugo 1, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2, Real Still, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and Transformers: Revenge of the Fall. Not Revenge of the Fall. Dark of the Moon. They were nominated. Dark of the Moon should have won.
That's cool. Yeah, totally.
But that was its only nomination, though. But that's it, guys, for the Rise of the Planet of the Apes review. Is that it for you, Bilal?
Yeah, that's it.
So, guys, when next week we'll be doing our review for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes for episode 16. Sammy will be back here. And of course, if you guys were wondering why there was a podcast episode put out this week, there was a little bit of schedule conflict for our recordings throughout the week. For the other podcasts, the week before was Seth. So we're going to skip this week. We're going to regroup ourselves. So you guys will just be listening to this review. There will be no podcast episode this past Monday, but we will get a new podcast episode for you this coming Monday when we watch The Fall Guy. And hopefully I can watch Challengers and get out for you. Hopefully Bilal watches that too. But I think that's it. Bilal, is it for you?
Yep. Caesar's home, MBK out.
Caesar is home. It's no MBK out yet. But guys, I hope you no, I got it. So
You're still talking?
yes, Bilal, I gotta edit this out. Okay. You can do the Caesar's home thing at the end. Okay, so let me do this. So if you guys are new here to the podcast, listen through Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube, leave us a rating and a comment on Spotify or Apple Podcast, and also give us a follow if you haven't yet. If you guys are on YouTube, hit that like button because we would really appreciate it for this review. And of course, you guys will be seeing the other reviews of the Apes franchise. And also, if you guys haven't yet, hit that subscribe button because it would really help us out, and you would want to see more of our videos. And also hit that bell notification because it will tell you guys whenever we post not only shorts and episodes for the podcast and reviews. So guys, with that being said, when you hear me and Bilal next time, it will be on Monday's episode of the Cinematic Boys podcast reviewing Fall Guy and probably Challengers. And when you hear Sammy next time, but Sammy's not here, it'll be with us next Friday for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So guys, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.
Caesar's home, MBK out.